Hey everyone, Katie Bertrand here with So Cute by Katie, and I'm getting ready to make a baby blanket, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you how you can make a really quick and easy and unique baby blanket for a gift or whatever. So I'm going to show you a couple that I've already got made. And then we're going to put another one together. I make these and sell them at my shop and on our Etsy and website. So this is just some flannel that I have gotten at Hobby Lobby and kind of made just like a little receiving gift set. And then I have like the peanut shaped burp cloth. And I did put a little bit of batting in this, but that is one. So I've got some flannel, and then this has minky on the other side. This is another burp cloth set. Let me untie this real quick. So these just have each of the fabrics on the burp cloth. So another way to make like a set to match your blanket. And then you have a cute little gift, you can tie it up. So what I'm getting ready to make, I've made the same, what I'm getting ready to do, that's how I made these. So I have just 1 yard of fabric. This is some minky, it's not the dotted minky, but it's a kind of same fuzziness that I got at Hobby Lobby. And I'm gonna lay this out on my cutting table. Now this is a little bit wider than my flannel. So I got this at one of my local stores. Let me see who makes this. It is Riley Blake. So this is a Riley Blake pattern. It is Peter Rabbit. They had this in a blue and a pink. I went with the pink because we actually just had several boy blankets at the shop and I didn't really need to make it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to lay the pretty side, the right side of my fabric down on the right side of the minky. This one's a little bit harder to tell because when you have the other minky, you've got the dots, so that obviously tells you it's the right side. So let me clear my table, move this back just a little bit, got some things I should have got out of the way. Just gonna straighten this out. And you can do this if you want 2 pieces of minky, if you want both flannel, if you want to do a cotton and a minky or a polar fleece. So I'm just going to lay these out. I have not cut the selvage off because I'm just going to keep it in the seam, so I will sew that and then we'll trim it when we just trim the blanket. Now you can see I've got a bunch of extra right here. So this is going to get cut off. I'm just trying to reach across my table here. And I'm just going to pin this. Now, minky fabrics can be a little bit slinky. So if you're not used to sewing with it, you may want to use a few more pins. I really, I don't like to use a lot of pins, but sometimes, your fabric could slide against the minky and shift. So that's why, I may recommend that you put a few more pins just so it doesn't shift as you are sewing it. So, and I'm just smoothing this out. I'm just going to go across the bottom here. Now, I'm on the bottom. I'm going to leave an opening, maybe as wide as my hand, because we want to have a start and stop point. And my Peter Rabbit fabric does have a direction, so this is the bottom. So I'm going to leave an opening so that I can turn it right sides out. And I've just made my pins face a little different direction so I kind of know that is my start stop. And I'm going to come up here and we're going to keep pinning some more. And this is already shifted on me, so let me pull that down just a smidge. There we go. There's always a possibility it's not cut straight, so it may not lay flat. So as you're kind of laying it right sides together, you just want to smooth it out. Make sure there's no wrinkles or anything like that that are gonna make it bubble when you turn it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and cut off this excess. Now with this excess, this is the perfect size to make a small taggy blanket. And that can be our little accompanying piece. We can get some ribbons that will match the bunnies. Because usually when I do a little taggy blanket, they're like maybe 15 by 15, I'm not even sure. And let's measure this just so I can see what I cut off. I cut off right about 16 inches, so this is going to be perfect. So our excess, always you can use this for another project. So you can use it to trim a burp cloth and make a taggy blanket, and then you have a little set. Now I'm pulling this to me so I can reach it, and I'm just going to continue to pin. While I'm pinning this, I do want to let you know I do have a new online course. I'll put a link in the description, so if you're watching this later, you can check it out. But it'll give you some more in-depth directions on sewing and making some fun projects. And I keep smoothing this because, like I said, this minky fabric, it can be a little slippery. And it's going to shift on you more than if you had flannel on facing flannel or a polar fleece or something like that. So I've probably got more pins in here than I would normally ever use because I don't like to pin a ton. But on this I am. Okay. So now I've got, just want to show you. So I've got my pins right here. This is going to be my opening where we'll reach in and we'll turn it right side out. Okay. So now we're going to go over to the sewing machine. So come join me. I have those pins marking a start stop, and we're just going to sew around the edge, do a little back stitch, and then once we turn it, we're going to do a top stitch on the outside. Get my pin cushion. Fill this back up. So now we're going to get sewing. And I'm using like a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can, if you want to use a 1/4 inch, you know, if you want to use the edge of your presser foot, that's fine. And you can make this any size you want. I'm just have a yard, I just want to make it easy. So I'm just using the entire yard. If you want to cut it to make it more of a square, a lot of blankets, you know, you could do like a 30 by 30 if you want it to be a little smaller. There is no right or wrong. You can also do this to make an adult size blanket. If you want to do like 2 yards, you could get 2 yards of that minky or even a polar fleece. Now my minky does have a little bit of a stretch to it, so I'm going to give it just a tiny bit of a tug to keep it lined up so it doesn't pucker up on me. But you can really make this any size you want. The process is the same. And I'm just taking my pins out as I go along. Now, once I get to my corner, I'm going to put my needle down in the fabric. And then I can raise my presser foot and spin my fabric so that I can come straight down the next edge. And I'm just trying to keep this straight. And this minky is kind of heavy, so it's wanting to pull off of the table next to me here. You just want to make sure those edges stay together. Okay, I'm coming up to my next corner. I'm putting my needle down. I'm going to raise my presser foot. I'm using my knee lift. And then I can easily swing the fabric around. Last corner, but I want to show you this. So I've got, bring it a little closer. So my fabric is down in this, but see, I can easily turn this, and my needle is in there, so it's not going to lose my place in the fabric. I can get it turned straight and then start sewing again. So definitely put your needle down, or if you have a button on my other sewing machine, this is my industrial machine, so on my home machines I can actually press the button that says needle down, and it will, every time I stop, the needle will always be in the down position. Okay, I'm coming to my other pin where I wanted to stop, trim my threads. Now we're going to go back over to the table and we're going to trim our corners. And Sandra, it has been too long. I've been doing a lot of videos on TikTok, so I've been trying to transfer some of them over, but then I'm like, I really need to do a video on YouTube. So okay, so I need to straighten up my bottom. This just wasn't cut straight at the store. It's not a big deal. But the other thing you want to do is you want to reduce the bulk. So like if you're doing pillows or like doing this two-sided blanket, I want to show you. So I'm going to cut this. We're going to trim. You can cut it at an angle, but we want to kind of come up and we're going to trim right next to it, because we just want to make it thinner right here, so it doesn't have so much bulk right here. And then once I'm going to kind of cut that corner off as well, so when we turn it and we're poking out the corners, it's not so bulky in that corner. Now I've got quite a bit of seam allowance on the side because I've got the selvages, so I'm going to trim this also, just because I didn't cut the selvages off beforehand. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now because I just don't want that much on the side seam also. You can scissor cut it or use your rotary cutter. And then let me get you over here too. So I'm going to kind of cut that angle off. We'll do that first, but then I'm going to kind of come up here. I'm going to kind of just cut right close to it. So when you kind of see, it looks wonky, but when I turn it, it's not going to be so bulky. And I have selvage on the other side, so I'm going to trim this off also. I could have done that beforehand. I just didn't do it because the minky had it too, and so I just thought it'd be easier to do it this way. Okay, now we're going to trim our corners, trim some of that bulk out right there. I'm going to go back to this corner. Okay, so I've got my corners, and now we have our opening right here. I probably made it a little bit bigger than it needs to be. It just has to be basically big enough for your hand to get in there. And now we're going to turn it right side out. And I'm going to see if I can get the corners poked out with my finger. They do make a point turner tool, and I honestly don't know if I have one here. I know I do at home somewhere, but that's one of those. Let me look in my little tools here. I've got a tool for everything, and I don't have that with me. Now, this is a rule you are not supposed to do, so this is one of those moments. Do as I say, not as I do. But I am going to use my scissors very, very, very gently to poke out this corner, just a tiny bit. Because the problem with using your scissors is they're very pointy, and sometimes you can push too hard and you're going to push a hole in it. So use your point turner tool, not your scissors, even though I'm very, very gently doing it. So don't tell on me. Okay. Okay, so I've got, now you can see we've trimmed that out. You've got a nice shaped corner. If you don't, it just gets kind of bulky right there. So then when you sew over it, it gets bulky. And let me answer a question right here. Joan says, how do you determine the seam allowance with the material on the right side part of the machine? Seam allowance is really up to you, okay? With the minky being slippery and it can kind of shift with your fabric, you may want to go with a little bit of a deeper seam. People that quilt, when you do quilting, you use a 1/4 inch seam. Basically, you're using the edge of your presser foot. I probably would just go in a little bit deeper. That's why I was doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance. It just gives you a little bit of playroom, and you don't want it to slip. And it's just a little bit easier. So I would definitely, again, there's no right or wrong, but you don't want, I had the selvage on there, you want to make sure that that selvage, that white part didn't show. I trimmed that out. You may trim that before you get started sewing, but with the minky fabric, I would have a little bit of a deeper seam allowance. Just for the sliding purposes, put lots of pins in there, just if you're not used to sewing with it. So now to close up this hole, I'm going to just top stitch. We'll start right at the opening, but I'm going to top stitch all the way around. So let me just put a couple pins here. Now I'm just on this opening here, I'm just folding this edge down, and I'm going to fold the minky edge, and then we'll just, and then have that folded edge on the inside. And I'm just putting a couple pins to hold that. That's all I'm pinning, is right here. So this is my opening. I'm going to start, and I'm going to sew right on the edge of this. So I probably am going to use the edge of my presser foot. If you wanted to go, because we want to sew, we want to close the opening, so I do need to be a little bit closer. And then I'm just going to go all the way around and do a little top stitching. You can make this a decorative stitch if you wanted to, if you wanted to jazz it up with a decorative stitch. I like to keep it quick and easy and simple, so I'm just doing a straight stitch all the way around, and then we're going to be done. So let's go ahead and finish this up. Come over here. Pins out. Now you do want to make sure that it stays folded in there, because we don't want the bottom side to kind of slip out and you've got more of the bottom fabric showing. You want equal amount, just a nice edge to edge, you know, keep it tucked in there. So as you go, you may need to roll it and just kind of hold it a little bit tight, just so that it does not slide out from under you and you've got more of that bottom fabric showing. Okay, I'm gonna get up to this corner, needle down, raise my presser foot, and then I will swing it around. And I don't know, let's see if I can get you a little closer too. I may have you come over on this side. Sorry. Okay, now you can see what I'm actually sewing a little better. So I'm using my presser foot right on the edge of this. This is the top stitch, this is what closed that hole, and we're just continuing all the way around. Needle down, no, turn it around, just keep on going. Coming back down the left side here. And you just want to straighten it out as you go. It'll help you not get a wrinkle or anything. Okay, now we have just a short little edge. We're coming up to where we started. I'm going to cut my thread before I get there. Okay, and now we are finished. So let me show you the finished product. Let me come back around here. So having the material on the outside of the throat space. Yes. Okay, I want to show you. So I just did just a little top stitch around. So that's, you know, I started at the bottom down here to close up the opening where we turned it. And now we have an adorable, got a nice soft minky side, and then the printed flannel. Now if you don't want to use a flannel, you can use a cotton and a minky. You can do, you really can make whatever you want. I just wanted, you know, a nice little soft blanket. This is a yard of fabric. The minky is wider than the flannel, so that's why I had to trim it up. But now I've got a nice scrap that I can use to decorate a burp cloth. You know, I can trim a burp cloth with my scrap of minky, or I'm probably going to go ahead and make a taggy blanket, which I have another video on that, but I might do a video with you guys, making a taggy blanket that will coordinate with this. And then you've got a super cute gift, and you really just used 2 yards of fabric. Now I do embroidery, so of course I'm going to offer to monogram this when we sell it. So just add that touch of personalization. But even if you didn't, this is an adorable and easy project. And like I said, you can make it any size you want. So if you want to make an adult size version of this, you know, you absolutely can do that. I'd get 2.5 yards of maybe some polar fleece or some minky fabric and make a heavier blanket. You know, if you didn't want to do the tie blanket, you can just sew it. It's super easy. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I look forward to making some more videos with you. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you want to get notified when I have another video, you can hit the bell, because I think some of y'all got notified, so that's exciting. But we'll be back with some more videos, and if there's something you'd like to see made, you know, see if that's a project we can do. But I had fun sewing with you all. So stay tuned for more videos. Now if I can just figure out how to turn off the live.